All right, you guys, we are live. Thank you all for tuning in. You are tuned in to Sip and Talk. I'm your host, MS.LONDA. I have my guests joining me this evening, Angela, my co-host, Data, Montoya, and Tanza. You guys, welcome back to another show. Our topic this evening is um, young resources for young parents to help them be better parents. And Montoya, I know that you had some questions on if there were more resources to help, young parents, and also how do they find the strength to be parents?
Yeah, because I was a teen mom and I found the strength to go off to college. There wasn't any pressure on me to go off to college, and I found the strength to do that on my own. So I've also seen a lot of young mothers just be very good moms, and so it just makes me wonder, where did the strength come from? How do we as young moms gain so much strength? I'm Even though I'm older now, I'm in my 40s, but just wondering, how do young moms just have it all together and being able to manage life with children alone? So.
I think when you have to do it, you know what I'm saying? If you look at it like this is what I gotta do, then you find the strength. I know earlier you spoke about like receiving, assistance and stuff. Sometimes some people don't, that's not enough. Because for me, like I was a young mom too. I had my first child at 17, and just relying on the system wasn't enough. It paid the rent. Then you had your food stamps for food, you had medical, but what about after? You got kids, you want to still provide for them, you want to be able to do things with them. So I had to get a job. I just, welfare just wasn't it for me. So especially when you're paying full market rent.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree. I think, what's young, first of all, I'd like to confirm that, because I think I was 24 when I had my first child. And to me, I was just a baby. When I look back, of course, you think you're grown, as soon as you turn 3. But as I look back, I was just a baby. I was 24 and I was married, and still the hardest struggle of my entire life. And soon after, my ex-husband and I had a lot of separations. And so there was a lot of doing it on my own. And I struggled and I struggled. And of course, I had kids, after that. So I ended up with 3 little ones, all in car seats at the same time, all in, high chairs at the same time, doing it all on my own, going through the system. Because even if you're married, if you're separated, you've got, you need help. And I had to go through the system and get assistance and all those other things. And I just know that I didn't think about long-term parenting. I don't know about anybody else. I thought about today and tomorrow. That was it. It was not about, what my children's future may be. It was about surviving the day and making it to whatever it is that I needed to do tomorrow, and making sure that my kids survived the day and made it to whatever they had to do tomorrow, if that makes sense to anybody. That's how I did it. Because I think that the pressure of it and the stress of it, if you added the long term, I'm affecting, where they're going to go to college, or girl, forget about it. Forget about it. Like you might as well just go ahead and have your stroke now, because it's too much. So I did it myself by just focusing on what I had to do that day to get through that day, And, and mostly too, focusing on, sounds terrible, but more about me and my future, my goals, what I want it to do and where I want it to go, as opposed to the children, if that makes sense. And I know that sounds bad, but being in, like, for instance, I had to go into public housing. So being in public housing was not anywhere that I wanted to be. It was less about, when I reflect back on it, it was less about my children growing up in the projects. It was more about, oh no, Tanza can't be in the projects. Like this can't happen. So Tanza needs a better job so that she can do better and she can move out. And subsequently, my children benefited from my own personal goals, if that makes sense.
Right. Absolutely.
I would like to say that I gained strength just by leaning on my church family. God played a very instrumental part in me being a strong woman. Like they say, don't lean onto your understanding, your own understanding, and God will give you the desires of your heart. So I use Bible verses to get through. I use prayer. I use my community resources to help me become a stronger mother. And I would do a lot of the classes. I would take them to Sunday school in the morning, to church, and stuff like that. So I am a woman of faith. I got saved when I was 4 years old, and my parents taught me at a young age that with God, you can do all things. God is my strength. I shall not want. So just Bible verses and teaching my kids to rely heavily on their faith has gotten us through a lot of battles. So that was something that I used and instilled in them.
Yeah.
I can't really speak on it because I as y'all know, I only have one child. He's 2, and I still have his dad. So I do have friends that has been single, dealing with taking care of their kids on their own, and it's just by looking, I see how it was a struggle for them. I've had to help. It is a hassle, especially when you don't have a lot of resources or a lot of help. It is a hassle, especially if you have one too many kids. So I do kind of feel bad for the parents, the single mothers, especially that's out there with no resources at all, or don't know where to turn to get resources or help from, with 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or 4 kids. I kind of feel a little sad for them, especially during these times.
Yeah,
Well,
you definitely need a community. That's huge.
It's vital.
Whether it's your family, your church family, your friends, you need a community.
yeah,
Sure.
and I would say, being that I thought I was old enough to take care of a child too, because I was 26 when I birthed my first daughter, and I was 32 when I had my last child. And I was married and everything. After my first daughter was born, I got married 8 months later to a guy who was not her dad, but I did it for 8 months just with her. And then again, the marriage didn't work out. It dissolved. So I had to become a single mother all over again, which that's another topic. And I'm not topic, but something we can get into a little bit later in the conversation this evening. But it was I had to reach out to community resources, God, number one. And that led me to, hey, we have this entire list of community resources to help you. So I was able to get daycare assistance where, how am I going to work if I'm a single mother? How am I going to provide for my kids if nobody's willing to watch my infant? So I would get daycare assistance and pay $100 or less a week, for 3 children. That was a blessing. And I would do everything I needed to do, every single appointment to make sure. And I literally got all my kids through until my oldest one was old enough to watch the other 2. And the other 2 still was on a daycare after school program, because I would move into a neighborhood that had those type of resources where when they got off the bus, they go straight into the office area where the after school program was, you know, tied into the rent. EBT, food stamps, of course, Medicaid, of course, and everything like that. But one thing I will say is, you know, I'm no longer dependent on those things because I made sure that while I'm having these kids and learning how to become a parent and becoming a mother, that I'm working on my education, I'm setting my goals, and I'm obtaining those goals. So I'm proud and happy to say I don't have to rely on that anymore. But when it was necessary, I used it. I was not embarrassed about it. And I will tell anybody, if you need it, use it. But I don't like how the government has it set up where, you know, it's really does separate the Black family. And, you know, a lot of times they won't even give you assistance unless you're a single Black mother. So that's something else we have to touch on too, which is very sad. So it further divided the Black family, not bringing us together. But was it a big help? Did WIC help feed my kids vegetables and fruits? Did I learn about nutrition? Yes. So I did benefit off of the programs, you know, and I'm a taxpayer too. So why not utilize the programs that we're paying for? So
I want to add something to what you said, Angela, because I know for a fact, for me, it was a huge factor. I said before that, you know, it was a lot about me and my goals in life. And one of the things that you mentioned was not staying in it. And I know I was horrified. I was embarrassed and I was horrified at my situation because I didn't grow up like that. And you know, and I did have an option because I have a great family. So I did have an option of going home to mom and dad with my 3 kids. And but I didn't want to do that because I wasn't raised like that either. And so I had to figure it out on my own. And one of the things that I remember was having a conversation in the housing project that I lived in. And I lived in Tampa at the time. And I had a conversation with one neighbor that my mother had come down and made friends with. And she was asking me about some of my benefits or whatever, and giving me some of the ins and outs that only people that have been through the system can tell you. You know, you might want to try doing this, you might want to try doing that. But part of the conversation was about me paying rent. And I had realized that I was the only one in the projects that was actually paying a good sum of rent. I think my rent back then was like $500 a month. And it was because I was working. And she said, you'll never get out. You know, either you're going to have to stop working and stop paying the rent, or you're going to have to, you know, get out. And I just remember that's something that stuck to me because I ended up being there for much longer than I had anticipated because the system isn't set up really to let you out of it. You have to it's just not set up that way. And it's set up to keep you in it. And the only way for me to get out of it was to change my mindset. And so that goes back to, you know, what you were saying about, you know, once you get there, you use the resources, you learn from them, and then you have to pull yourself out because before you know it, you will fall into that system of working or not working and not being able to come out of that. And that was huge for me. Yeah.
So it sounds like pretty much everybody that's here kind of like had the strength or had like strong will when it came to being a mother. But what about the population of young mothers today who are kind of like falling by the wayside, you know, because especially due to COVID, you know, family members are more distant. You know, you can't get out in the community and move around as much. So like Dada said, I'm sorry. I kind of feel bad for some of the young mothers today. You know, I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and it's really hard. You know, that community is very poverty stricken, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot that young mothers have to deal with. And then when it comes to faith, you know, I grew up in the church. And so we were Pentecostal, you know, holiness or hell. But when I got out the house and I went to college, I didn't really care about the faith thing because it was already embedded in me like so much to where I didn't want to deal with that. You know, I wanted to do life on my own and make my own decisions and just do it my own way. And so I was strong-minded. So I worry about the other mothers who are not so strong-minded, who kind of like don't have those resources.
And I think the systems have changed quite a bit too over the
Yeah.
years. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, this was 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
When I was going through it, and you know, my kids are grown now, thank God. But my daughter has a daughter, and she's not been able to get half of the benefits that I was able to get, you know, when I was a younger single mother. So you're right. I do wonder how they're surviving now.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a lot of those resources that was out when we were having kids are gone. Like,
Yeah.
My biggest resource that I really depended on was childcare. You know what I'm
I didn't
saying?
hear you, Miss Londa. Say it
I
again.
was saying my biggest resource that I depended on was the childcare.
Yeah, of course.
Because you know I needed to
You
get
gotta
out
go to work.
I didn't have anybody to, you know, just really, you know, keep the kids.
Right.
Mhm.
And like Angela said, I was on subsidy childcare, and that helped me out a lot. I had 2 kids in daycare, 2 was in school. My monthly fee was $50 for 2 kids, so that was a big blessing. And that helped me to get ahead. But the thing, like you said, with the system, it's not created for you to get ahead, because you can start working, and then of course you're gonna start losing your cash.
Yep.
Then your stamps are gonna be cut, and then depending on how much you're making, then you got to start paying medical. So you're still in
Yep.
that. You know, you just have to be strong-minded and be able to know how to cope and deal with it. And so, yeah, without a lot of those resources now, I do wonder how, you know, if they don't have family or, you know, somebody to count on, how are they gonna make it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what I would say in regards to that, the piggyback, is like we have to, as a community, support one another. We have to start using technology, you know, create a babysitting app just in that zip code and be in charge of that babysitting app. And, you know, create daycares in the area, and home-based daycares and stuff like that, and start utilizing these programs. Do you know Black women are considered a double minority in the United States of America, and the government sets billions of dollars aside for our new businesses? Black women are the most educated in America right now. We're getting more degrees than anything in America, and we're some of the top entrepreneurs. We're one of the fastest growing groups of entrepreneurs. So Black women are getting it together. And because it's so hard for us as single women, it's making us strong, where we're creating these businesses. We're getting to these millions. And now that we are creating more millionaires in our sisterhood, let's take that money and go back and buy the block, and let's bring up a sister and help her versus tearing her down, because Black women are also some of the most vicious women as far as not helping one another, talking down on each other. Oh, she thinks she's better than me. Oh, she thinks she's prettier than me. Oh, she thinks she's smarter than me. How about we stop talking about each other and hold each other's hands? And if I have a child, let's start a link up group on Facebook, Link Up Michigan, Link Up Babysitting Michigan, for women who want to go out and have fun and who need a break. I'm going to watch your daughter tonight. You watch my daughter next week. And, you know, make sure you trust the individual, get to know the person. So I think
that's crucial.
If women quit focusing on relying on the government, because these benefits are going away, because now money is coming in so fast and technology is so fast, they're like, we don't need to give them anything, you know? It's becoming more of a socialism type capitalistic economy. So we have to go ahead and get with the times, learn more about side hustles, and also support one another.
Yep.
And we won't have to worry about these. And we also can create our own resources. You know, we can create our own charities and 401cs.
And
I
I
think we
actually
gotta,
have a
sorry.
501c3, and I am actually, it's geared towards women and younger girls that I am trying to bring in a lot of resources. I'm already registered with the state. I'm just stuck at funding to bring in these resources to help with, you know, different things as far as single parents, just women, period. You know what I mean? The resources that, a lot of resources that women need, like housing, employment services, if you need the correct outfit for a job interview, you know what I mean? Utility help, girls aging out of the foster care system, you know, being able to set them up to be stable once they age out, because a lot of them age out and they have nowhere to go. They end up back in the same situation or on the streets or dealing with the wrong type of person to have that support. So there are a lot of resources that I am trying to bring into the nonprofit, but I'm just stuck at funding.
Yeah, and I think that that's a big, you're right, Angela, about a lot of the issues that you brought, that you mentioned with women and, you know, the competitive nature and all that other stuff. But I do kind of feel like in this day and time, that's kind of passing us by. And there's a whole lot more camaraderie amongst African-American women, because a lot of us, again, like you said, are educated, and we've come to the realization that we hold and yield a lot of power. But I think that there's also a issue where everybody is struggling on some level and fighting a day in, day out battle every day. So their heads are down, and it's really hard sometimes to pay attention to the next person because you're so busy in your own battles and trying to, you know, feed your baby and all that other stuff. So a lot of times you don't ask. We don't stop to ask the next girl for help, or, you know, to see what we can do to maybe benefit each other. And so maybe it might just be more, like you said, of just reaching out and saying, hey, I've got this problem, because we don't like to admit when we have issues going on, saying, hey, I'm struggling with this. Can you help? You know, we have a pride, and it's not necessarily about being angry or trying to, but we just, like I said, when I moved into the projects, I wasn't raised like that. So I felt like, I felt some kind of way being there. And I would never have had that conversation with the neighbor had my mother not come down and humbled herself and talked to my neighbor, because I didn't speak to anybody there, because I didn't want anybody to know I was there. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, I think it's a matter of us talking. And like you said, Miss Londa, you know, doing these programs, you guys are in one area. I'm out here in Atlanta. I know y'all know about Atlanta. There are the haves and there are the have-nots. And there's not a whole lot of mingling in between all of that. So, you know, it's a tough.
Yeah, Atlanta. I'm here in Atlanta too, Atlanta, Georgia. Absolutely. Okay. We're gonna have to link up.
Yes, ma'am. What part of Atlanta are you in?
Well, right now I'm actually in Marietta, but you know, I'm only 20 minutes away from downtown.
And I'm on the east side, way out here in like Covington, Conyers area. So
yeah, and if you look
out by the lake.
Oh, I know where that's at. And if you look at the statistics of Atlanta, she is not kidding, guys. It has the biggest wealth gap in America. Atlanta, Georgia. Either you have money here or you don't.
You are the have or the have not. And anybody in between, like me, we just keep to ourselves.
But they need to fix that. They need to fix the homelessness here.
Yeah,
it's a lot of Black women who, and that's another thing with the single mothers. A lot of them are homeless, living on the streets with their kids. And the government needs to do something here in Georgia about that. They need to create more shelters. I heard that because of gentrification and they want the downtown area to themselves, they closed a lot of the homeless shelters down, and that's why you see so many homeless people on the street in downtown Atlanta.
In
True
downtown
story.
Atlanta, yeah.
They
And I know
wanted
for a
land
fact,
themselves.
guys, that my daughter, who has my grandbaby, that you guys have seen pop up on the camera every once in a while, but if not for her being able to come home, she would be homeless because she cannot get any assistance. The amount of time and waiting for her to get anything, Medicaid, food stamps, childcare, all of that in Georgia right now, forget about it. And that baby's about to be 3. So yeah, it's serious. And I'm sure it's the same way where you guys are as well.
Well, they still have some resources, but it's like they kind of like changed a lot of the rules. You know what I'm saying? It's not as easy to get the help as it was. You know,
Right.
back in the 90s, it was different. It was just way different. Now you gotta basically darn near, if you making over $1, you might get cut off. You know what I'm saying? It's like, really? You know, it's just, it's
Yeah.
harder now.
So many people have abused the system.
I will agree to that.
The system has abused so many people.
Yes, exactly. So that's why,
yeah.
like me, I'm a savvy, what you call person. When I was dependent upon, I would get the best benefits. So if they tell me, like my kids, they never lived in a project. They don't know what that is. We would live in beautiful townhouses, beautiful houses, beautiful condos all throughout Florida, 4 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 2 stories, all of that stuff with Section 8, because they give you the option to get a house or a townhouse. So we never had to, my kids don't really understand that.
But that wait list was forever.
Well, I only waited on the list for a year, and on the second year, you know, it opened up and boom. And again, I prayed for these things. I tithed. I spoke it in the atmosphere. I told myself, you're going to only have to deal with this for a little while. Do it this way, not that way. So you have to look at all these programs, just like the funding that the host needs. You can get that funded, you know, find a grant writer, find an investor.
That's where I'm at now, is working with a grant writer. The fee he gave me was a pretty reasonable fee. I'm just saving up to, and you know, I'll go from there.
But you can write your own grants though. Like nowadays, the climate for grant writing is you just specifically fill in a virtual or an electronic application and go from there, depending on who's doing, you know, issuing out funding. Another thing is just start with one program at a time, and build, you know, your community connections and things like that. And then, you know, the funding will come. Get your 501c3 and go from there. We can work together because I'm working on my 501c3 application right now.
Well, that's yeah, my 501c3, it's filed. I'm registered with the state. I got my letter back about a month ago.
Okay, because 501c3 is federal, and then your registration is state. So you have the 501c3 through the feds. Okay. Well, then
what do you mean through the feds? No, it's registered through the state. Like you had to file it through the state.
Okay, so the 501c3 is federal. So you send that to the IRS.
Yeah, that the IRS sent me my letter. I thought that was the state. My bad.
No, that's not state. That's federal. Well, girl, you don't need to hire anybody to help you get funding.
You can use Montoya. She's got you. Save your money. You're gonna need it.
You're gonna need that money. That money that you are saving, you can develop a program for in the community. Maybe like giving out lunch boxes or whatever on the weekends.
Well, I would like to do what Angela just said, which is I've always offered to people, but it's always people that I knew. I'll babysit. You know, I'm on a limited income. you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and I'm not going to charge you nowhere near what you would be paying if you had to actually pay a daycare. You know what I'm saying?
I thought
Let's work
about
together.
I've thought
But
about
that used
Yeah.
to be my passion, and most of my jobs were in child care.
See,
And
but I
actually,
kind of think if somebody left their baby here, I might not want to give them back. So I don't know.
oh, that's
And I'll be going to jail
they
for
might
stealing
be
somebody's
happy
baby.
though.
Lord.
They might be happy, like, oh, I could get off work and go kick it too.
Yeah. So you could
Girl,
have
bring your
call
wine.
it,
Feel that baby.
you could call your app right there, Happy Baby. And everybody understands Happy Baby app. You pay a membership fee of $2.99. That's your resource right there. You get 100 applicants,
There you go.
$2.99. Now you got 2,999. You get you 1,000 members. You got how much? You see what I'm saying? 20,000.
Angela, we're gonna get together. We're gonna have
29,999.
lunch.
What is the audience
So-
saying?
Yeah,
that-
sorry,
I've been
Dana.
waiting for the
We got to
longest.
talking.
Y'all been talking. Y'all really been talking.
Sorry, Dana.
Y'all been talking. So Nakichi said, what do you do when you don't have a support system as a single? Y'all already nipped it in the bud in the way in the beginning.
Pray.
Let's
You
stop
gonna
saying-
pray. You gonna
Your
find
faith.
your people because your people are out there. Get your church family. And I think one other good thing is don't be scared to leave. Don't be stuck where you are. Don't be scared to get up and go. If just because you've been in Florida your whole life and that's all you know, it might not be the place for you. Get up
Yeah.
and move. Go
And
somewhere.
we will give, and I'm willing to provide my contact information by the end of this platform tonight for any young ladies who are in need of, you know, just some resources, maybe just some information, or maybe just to release and talk. Because I have a women's ministry, I have a nonprofit as well. It's not, I'm not big stepping like Londa yet with my 501c3 letter, but you know, I'm helping women in the community, especially with domestic violence, and you know, just getting resources that you need. So reach out to me. I'll get my information later. So I just wanted to get that out there before I forget. Sorry, Dana.
It's okay. I
Yes,
hope
and-
y'all caught that. I hope y'all caught that again. She will give it to y'all at the end of the show. Miss Stacy said hello, ladies, to everyone.
Hello.
Yes, and to piggyback off of
Oh, wait.
more.
Angela, let's let her get to the comments. It's a lot of comments. We don't want them
Oh.
to wait a long time. And then I'll let you
Okay.
have the flow.
No, I was just gonna answer
I
her
received
question.
my strength from the women in my family, watching them work and not asking anyone for anything. That was right there. A lot of those, Nkechi said, a lot of those resources are only available for a small group of people. They don't want you to excel. They want you to be dependent on the government. And he said, yes. Miss Stacy said, same here with me and my kids. I had childcare, but I always paid a lot due to my work income. With my youngest son, I took him out of daycare just before the pandemic because one, he had aged out of daycare, and two, the rates had gone up. I was already paying close to $300. So childcare helps to a degree. Once you start making a certain amount, you're going to pay. Nakichi said, they deleted my entire application and I have twins. Stacy,
My daughter went through that like twice. That happened to her. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Stacy,
Okay,
believe
girl,
that.
keep going.
I
Put your
believe that.
application back in.
Okay.
Okay, Dana.
you gotta get.
You lost them?
No, I think she's got.
Stacy said, oh yeah, I know all about Atlanta. And she also said, child, you have to almost be homeless in Minnesota. Is that correct? In order to get some help.
Mhm.
That's what I was saying. Because I'm in Minnesota too. And that's
Yeah.
what I was saying. Pretty much you got to be darn near standing on your last leg before they help you.
Yep.
And then they still might tell you some mess about a guideline or something.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
And then Nakichi said, I moved to Texas from Atlanta.
Smart girl. Smart girl.
All right, Angela, you got it.
Oh, I was just going to answer her question. The young lady who had the question about, how do you get a support group if you don't have one? The first thing we're going to stop doing in 2022 is saying we're without. We don't have it. We don't have an answer. I don't know. We're going to take those words out of our vocabulary. So it starts there first. Get that stinking thinking and put it in a dump tank where it belongs. Let's just think positive thoughts and give out positive energy and vibrations all 2022. If someone comes to you with negative energy and negative thoughts and accusations and sayings, walk away. Go get you some coffee. Say, oh, excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom. Run. Then from there, I want you to form your own support group. I want you to get out of your shell. The next time you're in the grocery store, say hello. How you doing today? The next time you're at the gas station, say hi. Let me get the door for you. You never know who you're going to meet on your journey, just doing your normal day activities. Also, you can form a group on Facebook.
Yep.
See the people who support you and like your comments and your posts and all that stuff, and put them in that group. Form a link up group in your area. And you're going to build your own resource. We're going to stop relying on people, and we're going to be independent, not dependent. So that is what you do. If you don't have anybody to support you, you say, I got God and myself, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to start my own support group. And that's how you become successful in life. You don't wait for anybody.
Exactly, because when you put yourself out there and you start meeting people and you networking, you'll be surprised how many people that you will meet that will support you, give you the gems, show you which way to go. Even if they don't want to be involved, they'll point you in the right direction. And I learned this just last year when I just jumped in, because I jumped in head on with the podcast, with the nonprofit, and so many people pointing me in the. I got a cousin that I hadn't talked to in years. He lives in a whole nother state. I didn't even know he was even watching me like that on Facebook, and he picked up the phone and he pointed me in the right direction and got me started as far as the 501c3, how to, file it, and that helped a lot. So when people see you doing things, those right people will step up and they will support and they will help.
It always reminds me of, you're so right, Angela, that instead of worrying about what you need and you can't find support for that, think about what you can offer and what you bring to the table. It reminds me of that stone soup story. You guys know that story where this poor guy walks into a town and he's hungry, he has nothing, and he pulls out a pot out of his bag and puts some water in it and starts boiling it in the middle of the town. And he picks up a stone and he drops it in there, and the little kids start coming around, and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm making stone soup. And it's just so good. It's so good. That's all he's got is a pot and water and some rocks on the ground. But he starts boiling and people start looking, and he's like, yeah, I can make the soup, but it would be really great if I had some potatoes. And somebody runs to the house and brings a couple of potatoes. And then it starts boiling, and he's like, oh, this is great. It would be really great if I had some carrots. And somebody runs to the house and brings back a couple of carrots. The point of the story being that this guy goes into town with a purpose of getting himself something to eat. And together with a whole town of people that are lacking, they come up with this whole big stew in the middle of town that feeds everybody. But it took one guy with nothing to open his mouth and offer a pot of water, because that's all he had to offer. I don't know if you guys heard that story, but it's a really, really good lesson.
Yeah, I have.
And just when you think that you have nothing to offer and you need, and nobody's here to help me, well, maybe you do have 1 hour in the day that you can offer to somebody to maybe help, I don't know, scrub their floor. You scrub their floor, then maybe they'll do something for you. You know what I'm saying? So it's an interchange. And so never think that you have nothing to offer, and be willing to offer whatever it is that you have. And you will be surprised of the resources that will come to you just for
Yeah,
that.
I
That
agree.
makes sense.
I
Yeah.
agree.
That makes sense. And then also the self-talk,
Yes.
inspiring yourself. Every morning when you get up, look in the mirror. Sometimes it may be hard because especially if you got a lot of weight on your shoulder, everything seems to be going wrong. It may be difficult to get in the mirror and start doing that self-talk and tell yourself, I love you, you're beautiful, you got this, keep going. And, just put little sticky notes around the house or around your apartment, doing that self-talk to remind yourself that you are wonderful, that you will get through this, that this is just a stage, to keep going, accomplish your goals, write down your goals, do a vision board. I did a vision board lately, and it's so inspiring. You get to look to see what your goals are, and and it just makes you feel happy and confident. It just gives you confidence in knowing that, okay, I have some goals and I'm working towards those goals. And then it also gives you that sense of accountability. You're holding yourself accountable for the things that you look forward to your goals. And then your kids will see you doing that stuff. Your kids will see your inspiration notes around the house. And so that inspires them as well. So that, those are some of the things that I think would help with the young moms, because I didn't have that, when I was growing up and I was a teen mom. I didn't have that. I had, strictly church, strictly, everything is forbidden. And so that caused me to want to really get out there and see the world. And then, so.
Yeah.
And safeguard your minds too out there. So Angela and Matoya was saying, check your energy. Like I always say, before you check your energy, make sure you're putting out the energy that you want to receive, but also safeguard your heart and safeguard your mind. What you're putting in it constantly is not just the people, but what are you watching on TV? What are you reading? What are you letting in your door? That's a huge effect on your mindset. And mindset, everything starts with the mind. Everything starts
over matter.
Mind over matter. So, you really have to safeguard. And most people know themselves well enough to know when you're in a bad space. So if you're in a bad space, you don't want to add badness to that. You got to find positivity. That's the time to seek out the positivity. So, yeah. But you can do it.
You can do it.
First one to tell you can do it, girl. I've survived. You can survive.
So Miss Stacy says, sometimes I want to apply for at least food stamps, but I know they won't give me any, or if they do, it won't be enough to feed a tick. The only stamps I've ever received were the PEBT because my son was home during the pandemic. At this point, I don't have time to apply and give the county all my business just to get some food stamps. I'll keep buying food like usual, pay with cash.
She's got a point, but sometimes it's worth it just to aggravate them and make them have to pay somebody to process your paperwork. But yeah, I know that feeling that it's not, sometimes you just really get discouraged with the system and the process, and you just don't even want to be bothered.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like they have their picks because a person can make twice as more than me, or can make it the same amount as me, and they'll get food stamps and I won't. Or if somebody could be out there doing something, making twice as the income that I'm making, and have a big high-paying job and still get food stamps. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes they might have their picks, and sometimes you just have to just keep trying until they finally say, forget it. I'll give it to you.
It's not, the system is not, it's not set up. And I think that maybe that's the mindset that also has to change too. I don't want anybody out there listening to think that the system is your saving grace. It's not. It's not going to save you. It's not going to save you. It's not going to set you up for a better lifestyle. It's not there for that purpose.
How about as
Now,
a Black community, we stop depending on the government so much, right?
Yeah,
That is another form of slavery. It's another system.
Yeah.
So let's start teaching our community about the RBCs. Okay. Real estate, your business, and credit. Real estate, instead of the ABCs, let's teach our community the RBCs. If we continue to teach our community the RBCs over the next 20 years, we will own our blocks, we will own our neighborhoods, and we will be right back where we was before they started stealing all the property away. You have to have an investment in real estate. And now you have what we call digital real estate. So do not get left behind in technology. You need to be creating yourself a business. Find out your God-given talent and turn it into a business. Find out the reason why you're here. Because if you don't like your job, you're not going to like the business. So find something that you love to do and make some money off of it. Also, we need to have good personal credit as well as business credit. So with that business, you can build something that we call business credit, which will get you funding at the minimum of $50,000 up to $5 million. Right off jump, depending on how much your company is profiting, depending on, your Paydex score, your Dunn score, your Experian, and your Equifax score. You can literally go buy a brand new Tesla and write the whole car off because it's on the list of write-offs for cars right now with the government. So we have to keep ourselves abreast on what the current tax write-offs are. Get yourself a good tax accountant or tax attorney to work with so that you can take those resources and get a write-off, just like them. They're buying houses with their business credit, cars, and leveraging the money. Okay. And then you have, with the business credit, you don't get a small credit line because businesses are supposed to go in debt. Look at Apple's debt. It's humongous. So you can get even further in debt with a business. And the lines are huge, 100,000, 50,000, 20,000 for a gas fuel man card. So learn how to build a business and then learn the different entities of the business, the LLC, the sole proprietor, the corporation, understand that. Also understand you need to build your personal credit. Why would you, Black people, your interest rates are high, 25%, 18%, when other people's interest, including Black people, because a lot of us get it and have 800 credit scores. The difference between paying 2.25% on the real estate property right now and 3.25% is about 20 to 30,000 extra dollars, just 1%. So start working on the RBCs in our community and let's start teaching everybody about the RBCs. That's real estate, business, and credit. And I'm one of the founders of the Black House here in Atlanta, the Legacy Center with Jay Morrison and friends. And that's what we teach. So if you're ever in Atlanta, you want to come learn about some education and something that's going to set you up and get away from that generational lack and that generational curse of poverty, learn the RBCs.
Yeah, because I'm concerned about someone said that there's homeless single moms, young moms in Atlanta. Like, that just really pulled at my heart.
They're everywhere, but
it just seems
Atlanta
like
happens to have quite a bit. It
just seems
they keep cutting me off. They are everywhere. I have to get in because y'all, I won't stop talking. But
sorry, Dana.
They are everywhere though. They is because here, I've seen mothers outside with signs with their kids outside, panhandling and things.
Yeah.
I done seen moms and together out panhandling with the kids, and it's just like, it breaks my heart and it makes me so sad and it hurts me to the fullest in my wishing I had something to do, some type of building to take them all and just put them in. And so they, but you know,
Exactly.
it's like, that's a tough deal. And it just makes me appreciate everything I have, no matter what it is. It really does. It's saddening.
Yeah. I know that, you know, everything that Angela's saying is true. And I think that that's part of where I was back then when I was going through my struggles early on, trying to find my way, is again, focusing on me and my future, as opposed to worrying about, you know, the kids and, you know, whether or not they're going to the best schools or whatever the case may be, but worrying about how I was going to pull myself out and get forward in life. And that's what we as a community, as a Black community, need to do. You know, we need to focus more on growing our community assets. That starts in our family assets and things like that. And that's how, because again, you know, had I been stuck in that system and my daughter ends up being a young mother, right? Then automatically she would have been homeless and in the same system, because that system wouldn't have allowed her to stay in those projects with me, because, you know, you only have a certain amount of room for a certain amount of people, right? And they kick us all out. And then here we go. Now we got a homeless mama with kids, with a homeless daughter and a homeless grand. You see what I'm saying? So if I had not focused on building myself and getting myself to a position to where I am able to assist with my young adult children and in their lives and have something to offer them, so that they don't have to, you know, go through the same struggle that I went through. And a lot of it also is part of the decision-making that I did, but that's neither here nor there. But all of these things are things that people, young mothers today, can use to assist them in getting through these difficult times, because we already know that the system isn't offering the same things. We already talked about using your resources and your community, whether it's your church family or your actual family, to help boost you past this stage of, you know, struggling and needing the food stamps and all that other stuff. And again, I have to reiterate this fact. Sometimes that means leaving what you've always known and where you've always known and going somewhere else. Maybe mama can't help or daddy can't help. That's right there. And if we're all in Atlanta where we all are, but maybe your auntie in Tennessee can help, you know, or maybe and don't be afraid to leave. Because one thing about life is that you can leave places and you can always come back.
Yeah.
But if you never go and never take a step forward, and that's in everything, that's in learning about creating a business, that's in, you know, moving in everything that we do. If you never take the step and never take a chance to try something different, trying something different is the only way that you will get a different result in your life. It's period. And that's in everything. That's in money, that's in finances, that's in child rearing, that's in relationships, that's everything. You have got to be willing to try something different, something that you've not done before, in order to get a result that you've never seen before.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
especially in this day and age,
Yeah.
you know, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes.
So that you
Be
can
comfortable.
Because it all hurts. It all, every change is a challenge. It all is going to be challenging, but some challenges really pay off. And a lot of times we never get those payoffs because we're too scared to try.
Absolutely, because you have to be a risk taker, guys.
Yes.
Yep.
If you look at some of the people say money is the root of all evil, but I get real evil when I'm broke. So I don't think that's the truth. I can't wipe my behind without toilet paper. I cannot wipe my behind without toilet paper. Okay. I cannot cook food for my family without electricity.
Yeah.
So find you something else to do with your money. and they have all types of ways to make those nest eggs work for you. You know what Albert Einstein said? The greatest mystery of the world is compounding interest. So if I would have put $600 in an interest-bearing account in 1995, I would have about 600,000 right now.
Today.
So get you a nest egg. Quit being, cheap. Quit thinking inside the box. Take your money and put it somewhere that's going to make it grow. Something that you can invest in is what I like to call a IUL. It's an insurance policy that's attached to the stock market. It grows faster than a regular insurance policy. Something else that single mothers can do as soon as your child is out of the womb, and I'm talking about as soon as it's out, you put on some insurance on that baby. It's going to lock the rate in for the rest of their life. And when they turn 18, it will double. It's a product called Gerber Life Insurance, and that insurance gives whole life cash value. When your child turns 18, it doubles, or you can take the cash value out and put it towards their education, a new car, a down payment on a home while they're going through college, so on and so forth. Or you can take the IUL and use it as an investment product. And if someone passes away, you can cash out on that life insurance policy. Do not wait until you're 50, 60, 80,
When
90
they don't
years
want to
old
give you
to try
any.
to get insurance.
Yeah.
They still will give it to you, but it's going to cost you about $2,000, $3,000 a month, which I can tell you about what the Asian families do when they don't have insurance on the elder. They all will chip in for $1 million policy because they know the elder is going to pass away soon anyway, and they'll pay for that policy. Because what is $3,000 if I get 10 of my cousins to pay for grandma's policy at 80 because she never had one, and we all about to get 2 million? We all have to leave the earth anyway, so why not have an insurance policy in place? And I'm not just saying I'm doing. At the age I'm less than 40, I have about $500,000 already on me. My kids have 150,000 each. You see what I'm saying? And every time I turn, another 3 or 4 years old, I add another 100,000 or 200,000. Before you know it, I'm gonna have 1 million. So if anything happens to me, my kids can say, "Oh, mommy left us at least 300,000 a piece." So let's go ahead and get educated and start investing in the same products that they've been using for years and been keeping away from us, stored up in a gym locker somewhere. But now we have the internet, we have Google. We can Google these type of things. We can invest in Forex. Get you some Ethereum, get you some Litecoin, get you some Bitcoin, get the Nubaru Freedom Coin. Start you a Coinbase account, get you a Go Orbit account. Learn how to leverage this stuff, and we won't have to worry about poverty. And like she said, if you do have a family member or a child who is a single mother, well, hey, I'm gonna call Auntie Angela because Auntie Angela was smart. She invested all her money and now she can help me. Right. And you're gonna take that money and create them a business and show them a way, so on and so forth. And that will take away poverty in the Black community.
Use your resources, guys. Use your resources.
Use them. And
use them. They tell you that in businesses. When you run your own business, because I work for myself, and you run your own business, and everybody's always like, go in that phone, and that person you don't want to call, that's the person you need to call. Don't we all have people in our networks, whether it's our family or our friends, that we haven't talked to in a long time, or for whatever reason, we're hesitant to call and ask for help. And it's not necessarily help. Maybe it's advice. Maybe we're just hesitant. And in this situation, and taking a business aspect out of it, but just, in a personal situation, everybody knows somebody that knows something about something you need to know.
Right.
You know what I mean? We all know somebody that if they don't know, they know who knows. Like you said, it might be that auntie back that moved out to Arizona, left the hood, moved to Arizona. Like family ain't never heard from her. She living her best life. Call her. Call her.
Call her.
And ask her how she did it. She's going to help you. She's going to be so glad somebody else from the family wants out. And she's going to be willing to help. So that's how you get out of these situations. And that's how you get through being a single mom at a young age. You reach out and you use your resources.
Mm-hmm.
And you take chances and you pray on it. And it works out in the end.
All right, guys, it's 9:28. We are gonna end it. I don't know if you guys wanted to put any information. I know Montoya, you said you was gonna leave your information. I don't know if you want to put it in the comments. For anybody who wanted to reach out to you. I don't know if you wanted to, Angela, but we're gonna end it. I would like to thank you, Angela, for joining us this evening. Thank the viewers who shared their comments and opinions and tuned in. You all have a great night. See you next
Good
show.
night, everyone. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you, Angela.
God bless.
Nice meeting you, Angela.
And double for your trouble.